All right, so first part of making this kind of techno is you got to have a good kick. We're at 155 BPM. Anything from 155 to 160 works for this style. And there's our kick. Now, this kick is mostly dry. There's a little bit happening. So we start with this sample. Okay, you can see I pitched it up a little. I shortened it to get rid of the little bass at the end. Then we're cutting out some sub and also boosting a little bit of highs. Because I noticed with these SIKOTI tracks, he's got it like very high and clicky in the kick, right? So we got that, and then we're converting the bass, or we're converting it to mono. And then we have our bass line. For the actual notes on this, you'll notice, okay, so we're playing in G. You'll notice the notes don't quite touch each other though. This is the first secret of this bass. A lot of you guys have been asking me how to do this bass. And yeah, the first thing is don't make them legato. If you do that, see how it's a lot punchier in the whole mix when they're shorter? It's better this way. The other thing is I've made this note a bit quieter with the velocity. If I turn off the... You can hear it's like... like it kind of goes into the notes. So yeah, very small details make a huge difference with this kind of sound. And this is being made with operator, although there's a little bit of magic. What I'm doing here is it's basically a saw bass. Right? Like that. But then I actually have a little bit of this sine wave an octave up. Doing the slightest bit of FM to it. If I turn the filter on, without it, with it. So you can hear it, yeah, it just makes that a bit fatter for whatever reason. It kind of helps open it up. And then, yeah, we just got our low pass with a nice punchy short envelope on it. Side chaining this, and then we just have a little bit of this utility converting it to mono. And then on the group, we have a little bit of magic. So to get this kind of a kick bass, so we're basically starting with this. And then with processing, we get this. Really subtle, but you can hear it makes it more full. So I'm actually using OTT over here. Now, this is the OTT preset. I tweaked it a little bit. I brought the mids and highs up, and I brought the bass up. Plus, I brought the compression on the bass down quite a bit. So what we're doing is we're basically doing this. Right? Like super over multiband compressing these together. And then we're just only giving it 15% of that. And then it just gives you this nice, fat, glued bass. But yeah, very important. I noticed when I was trying to study these tracks. And then also we're doing a little subcut. So without it, with it, you can hear it actually does kind of help glue the kick and bass together. It kind of makes them a bit more even and balanced. And then we're just converting it to mono. Then we've got our drums. You can hear just a nice short 909 hi-hat, very short. And a distorted 909 clap. I noticed this listening to a lot of his tracks. This is the sound. You take that 909, which is nice and punchy, but then you distort it a bit. And it becomes a lot more raw and like kind of sits on top of that mix. We have a ride. As you can see, I've got a bit of stereo with the chorus, and then I'm also pitching it up quite a bit. We have this auto pan, which makes it sound like it's being sidechained to the kick without having to actually sidechain. And then we're just high passing. I have a little shaker. Yeah, really simple, but you can hear. It's actually quite high in the mix, and it gives you a lot of energy. And also, with energy, we have this little rave loop. Just one, you don't want to overdo it, but you really do get a lot of energy from this. You can see how much of a difference it makes when I turn those things off. So then we've got our screeches. So what's happening here is we're kind of creating these complex patterns using some pretty interesting and different screeches, but then we're also combining them together to create these patterns. Right? Like you can hear, I mean, that's two pretty complex patterns. We got like this. And then this. Right? So they're pretty crazy, and then they come together. and just create this huge thing. So for the first one, what we're doing is, these are all made with Wavetable. Wavetable is pretty much the best like Ableton synth to use for screeches because of the way you can do the matrix here and the unison and stuff. The first one, so it's just two super detuned saw waves. You can see like almost completely in the opposite directions. A little bit of pitch envelope to make it do that wah wah. And you can see it's kind of doing the melody with the pitch envelope. Right? And we're playing with that. And then by having these little short notes, you don't get the full melody. You can just kind of use it like a stab. So we're doing that. I've got the unison voices at 2, but the amount all the way up. So that also helps the detune. Like if I turn that off. Right? Then we're distorting. Very important. You know, it gives it the screech and the craziness. A little bit of reverb. A little bit of OTT as well. This one's untouched. High pass. And then the auto pan to make it bounce off of the kick, which is very important too for the groove. I find with these, you want them to be like, you know, especially like that. Yeah, like, and it gets a little quieter on the kick. Very important. For the second screech. So you can see this is the same concept. If you look at the notes here, it's using that same thing. We're just using one note. It's just G across different octaves. But because this screech is doing the same kind of thing, where there's a pitch envelope on there, you can see, kind of giving it the melody notes. Like I'm just hitting one note and it's doing that. You can create these patterns with it, and that's what SIKOTI is doing. So this one is also just super, super detuned saw waves, noise unison all the way up. That's the perfect way to do it. And then really the variation in these comes with playing with the envelope, both like how it's set up as well as the amount. Right? This is very different because the other one has way less amount, so it doesn't go up as high. So they stand out from each other. Other than that, you know, pretty standard fare with these. We got a bit of overdrive, a bit of reverb, a high pass, and then the same auto pan. I've also got a send these are all going to, which I'll show you in a moment. But then I want to show you the other two screeches. Right? So you can hear these two really work together. I've got slightly different patterns every time too, as you can hear. But same type of deal, you know, just really similar screeches. Like, you know, again, just super detuned saw waves. This one I've got 4 layers of saw because I've got... Right, they're like really similar sounds, but they come together and create this crazy sort of screech. And then same deal, ton of unison, and then the pitch envelope. I think this one has like a slightly different, yeah. High pass, distortion after a high pass, which really helps because if you turn off the high pass, you can hear, you can get actually a nastier screech if you do turn the high pass on. It kind of helps with some of these because they can get a bit muddy going into the distortion. We got a bit of reverb, high pass filter, and then an auto pan. And then for this other screech, so this one, we are using saw waves again, super detuned, noise unison, pitch envelope, just slightly right. This one I'm using a little bit of sync though, which can be really good. It gives you like different textures with the screech. And then for this one, we're using reverb, a little bit of this mid-range fattener saturator preset. Here's without it. With it, it just makes everything a lot fatter and more full, and also brings out the reverb. I like doing that after the reverb because you'll get a more full sound. High pass, and then auto pan. And then the last secret to the screeches is this send. And this is a very important trick that's been being used since like way back in the day. If you listen to these, there's a sort of like constant pumping reverb, and there is reverb on all of them, but it's almost like its own layer. So the way we're doing this is you just make a send. It's 100% reverb, and then an auto pan, which is very heavily, so it's like kind of bouncing off the kick. You really want that to be like heavily bouncing off the kick. That's the sound. So we have that, and then that's how you basically get that extra atmosphere on the screeches. So if I turn it off, and then on, it's cool. And it's also interesting because you can make more sound in your track and have a more complex track with less layers, right? Like, it's almost like you're creating a layer using the layers you already have rather than trying to make something new. You can also play with this. Like, I think a lot of people have done, you know, like you could put distortion on it. You can do a lot of different things to this. You can compress it, but essentially, this is the concept. It's just adding that extra layer of reverb almost as its own sort of synth. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Let me know if you want to see more of these like hardstyle sort of techno tracks. Thanks again for the support, everybody. Make sure to grab this template at the top of the description so I can keep bringing you guys new videos every single day. I really don't make a whole lot off of YouTube, but these templates really help keep me going so I can keep bringing you guys new videos and showing you the stuff you want to learn. You can also check out my subscription service to get all my packs at a super affordable rate monthly. Thanks for the support, everybody. Links at the top of the description, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.